I have one hairstyle and I'm going to show you how to do it today. So I start with clean hair. I just washed my hair and I just prepped it with the Moroccan oil leave-in conditioner, and I just combed it with a wide tooth comb, not a brush since it's wet. Your hair is like really fragile when it's wet. So to try to avoid any more breakage, use a wide tooth comb. A few spritz of this, and now the most important step for a blowout. Mousse. You need mousse. I use the Tresemme Total Volume Mousse. Honestly, this is the only mousse I've ever tried, so I can't really compare it to any other mousse, but it definitely does work. So I would recommend it for that reason. Now, how I do my mousse, because you have to be careful, you don't want to use too much mousse, but you also want to use enough. If you use too much, your hair can get like crunchy and greasy feeling, but you need enough. So I think a good rule of thumb is I put all my hair to the back and I make a half circle on my roots. And then I push the mousse back, and I'm trying to push it into my roots. Any extra, I'm taking underneath, and I'm really getting it in my roots. So I'm like pushing the mousse throughout the roots of my hair. Okay. Now, once I have that initial layer of mousse in my roots, I'm gonna take my hair and section it in half, throw the top half up, and grab a clip, pin it up. Okay, now I'm gonna take a little more mousse, and I'm being gentle here with the amount that I'm using because I just did put in the majority of what I'm gonna use. Think about this much, and go right into the back section of my hair and massage it into the roots. Again, focusing on the back. Okay, now I'm gonna take my top section down, comb it out a little, and you can see where you've applied the mousse because it's going to be darker in contrast to your hair color if you have lighter hair. And I'm just combing my hair to make sure the mousse is evenly dispensed. Okay, now I like the mousse not only for volume, yes, that is the main purpose of the mousse obviously, but also if you're like me and you have any kind of texture in your hair. I have wavy hair, so the edges, especially around my face, I live in Florida, there's a ton of humidity, they start to fold in and get like waves in them when I'm outside, and the mousse really keeps your hair from getting its natural texture, especially in humidity. So that is a super pro of the mousse. I would recommend using it even for that, even if you don't need volume, but who can't use a little more volume in their hair? So I'm making sure I'm pressing that mousse into the roots. Really want to get it, focus it on the crown. So I'm taking the top section up, and I'm putting just a little extra mousse in the crown of my hair, just to make sure that I'm gonna have some volume in my hair. Okay, so that is plenty of mousse. I'm all set in that department. So the hair is prepped now. Everything for the blowout is prepped. You've got your leave-in. This is the one that I like to use because I have fine hair. If you have fine hair, don't be using a super heavy leave-in. That's just gonna weigh your hair down and make it harder to retain volume. This one I would definitely recommend because it's very lightweight. It's more water-based, so you're getting a lot of hydration, which is what I need because my ends are dry, but without weighing it down. Leave-in, mousse, that's it for hair prep. Okay, so now we start the actual styling. I will be using my Dyson Airwrap, but obviously you can use any hair tool that you use for drying. A round brush and a hairdryer will work. Honestly, I'm just not talented enough to use a round brush and a hairdryer, so this makes it a lot easier, but the Revlon brush, the Shark, any of those is fine. Now it's time to rough dry. I'm gonna rough dry my hair with this to about 80-85%, but I want it pretty dry. Now a trick here when I'm rough drying my hair is I make sure to pull hair from the right side over to the left side and vice versa so that the roots are getting volume. You can also go ahead and do upside down. Now the ends of your hair are always going to dry faster than the roots, so make sure when you're blow drying your hair you're focusing on the roots. Now I would say I'm about 70% dried, 70, maybe 75. But before I continue my rough dry, I'm going to section my hair again like I did. Take the top part and pull it off the bottom. Now I have thin enough hair or fine enough hair to where 2 sections is, I only need to do 2 sections. Obviously if your hair is thicker, then you can be doing 3 sections, 4 sections. I don't have that luxury, so 2 sections is plenty for me. Okay, and now that we're getting pretty close to 80-85% dry, we are going to switch over to the round brush attachment. Now the reason that you want to rough dry your hair so much and not really be drying so much your hair with the round brush is because this is a styling tool, not a drying tool. So when you're using this, it should be on predominantly drier hair. Otherwise you're causing excessive breakage and just, it's unnecessary to do that. You can dry your hair with a regular blow dryer and then use the styling tool after. So as you can see, just from rough drying my hair with the blow dryer, I still have some texture from my natural hair. You can see the wave, and that is where the round brush and tension is going to come into play. So what I do here is I take my hair in sections about an inch to an inch and a half wide, and I run the brush tightly and firmly down my hair like this so that it's getting tension and that pulls any wave and any kind of natural texture out of your hair. So I'm going to do that to the bottom section of my hair first. Now when I'm doing the ends of my hair, I'm making sure to hold it just for a little bit longer because I do want some curl in the ends of my hair. Not too much because I don't like a lot of curl in my hair. Obviously, if you want more curl in your hair, twist the brush around more and that'll make it more curly. I pull it straight and then curl the ends. But while I'm doing that, I'm making sure to not leave it too long because this is not a iron hot tool, but it is still warm air. So I don't want my hair to be getting as little damage as possible. So this is what one section fully dried and styled looks like versus a 85% dried section that has not been styled yet. You can clearly see that we pulled all the texture out and the ends look nice and flipped out. Now, something to note when using mousse, which is a super important part of a blowout, especially if you're looking for volume, the roots are going to be heavier because they have mousse when they're wet, but not heavier once they're dry. So when you're trying to dry the mousse and the roots, you need to make sure that you're putting a lot of your attention directly in where you put the mousse, so right on your roots. You need to be pulling through and making sure once that hair dries, like on this side, it's dry and it doesn't feel heavy at all. But over here where it has the mousse and it's still wet, you can still feel that it has a little more weight to it. So let's go ahead and dry the other side of my bottom section. Okay, so the bottom section of my hair is all dried and styled now. As you can see, it's relatively straight, just the ends that have some curl to them. So now the top section, which is the most important section because that's where you need your most volume. I'm taking down my top section. I'm gonna comb through it while I'm taking it down. And I'm going to take like a handful of hair out from the front and I'm going to put that section in half, my back section, and re-put up this front section. Okay, now I have my two side top sections down. I'm gonna comb through them. And for me, because my hair is not super thick, I'm okay if it gets mixed in with the bottom sections, it doesn't matter. It doesn't take me very much time, so it's not a lot of time to re-dry anything together. But if you have really thick hair, obviously be more careful in keeping all your sections separated so you're not going over it multiple times. Now I start these sections on the pieces by my face because those are gonna be the most likely to have texture in humidity and they're also the closest to your face, so you wanna try to put the most volume in them. So I pull this section by my face, I pull it straight out and I take the round brush and I place it right behind and I pull with a lot of tension through that piece. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, I've got my first side done. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing starting with the piece around my face to this side and then we'll take down the top section, which is the most important because you need the most volume there. Now everything is dried except for my top crown section. So this is the most important section, so let's take it out, brush through the hair once again. And now my drying technique for this section of my hair is I do it completely pulling the hair down from my face. So I go in and dry the front and then I dry the back and I'll dry it to the side and to the other side. I just want to pull it in as many directions as I possibly can. So let's do that. Now that I have this piece all dried, obviously your part is going to come from this piece. So whether you're doing a side or middle part, it's going to come from that piece. I'm just letting my hair fall naturally today, which is kind of a diagonal middle part. Now, as you can see, I have a pretty straight blowout because I used a lot of tension and didn't twirl the wand. Again, if you want it to be more curly, you just twirl the barrel of your dryer more. I always go for straight because I like that on myself the best. But as you can see, your hair has significantly more volume in the roots, and it's thanks to the mousse. So that is how I get my blowouts pretty much every day. Now that our blowout is complete, if you have any flyaways or your hair is at all dry in the ends or you just want it to look really shiny, I would recommend using a lightweight oil. I love the Gisu oil. Moroccan oil has also a good lightweight argan oil, I believe it is. But I really love the Gisu oil and I've been using it. You just need a tiny bit of product. Literally, that is all. You rub it in your hands and then you run your hands through the ends of your hair. If you have any flyaways, you can lightly pat them, but do not put the oil directly on your roots. That will eliminate any volume that you've just put in your hair. But that is the finished product.